Hello, everyone. My name is Carra, and I am coming to you here today from the People's Harm Reduction Alliance, which is located in the unceded Duwamish territory, colonially known as Seattle, Washington. And I am really excited to jump into the childbirth education curriculum for the People's Harm Reduction Alliance. A little bit about me. I use she, her, they pronouns. I am a co-founder of the Harm Reduction Doula Collective, and I have worked and volunteered with PHRA for about 8 years. I am a graduate student at the University of Washington getting my master's of social work and public health. I am also a drug user. I'm formerly incarcerated, and I am teaching from the lens of being a white, queer person, a disabled person, a chronically ill person, and also a person who has the capacity for pregnancy. So I want to share from that space. Everybody has different bodies, different identities, different experiences that inform the lens that they bring to the world and view their experiences and their relationships through. And pregnancy, your reproductive journey, your choices that you get to make about your body are greatly affected by those identities. So I just wanted to call out some of mine as we get this introduction rolling and we get this course rolling, so that we can acknowledge some of the ways that we may relate, but also some of the gaps that I may have. So this community is about learning together. It's about creating shared knowledge and shared space to be able to advocate for ourselves, but also be able to advocate for each other. So we get free together, we build communities together, we live amongst other people. And those of us who have identities that have been marginalized, criminalized, or othered are oftentimes the best to link up and share support to one another. And so that's the basis that I'm coming to you today on, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what a doula is, what harm reduction is, and what this course is, what it's meant to do, and who it's here for. So let's get started. If you're anything like me, I had no idea what a doula was until about 2020. I had heard about it. I thought that it was some rich, hippie, white lady thing that, you know, people like Gwyneth Paltrow had. And it wasn't until the pandemic hit. I've been working as a street-based outreacher, harm reductionist, and doing STI testing and organizing on the streets and the encampments of Seattle, and doing syringe exchange, that I started to really dive into my particular interest of working with people who can get pregnant. You might hear me refer to it as gestating people or people with the capacity for pregnancy, and I say that intentionally because not everybody who gets pregnant wants to stay pregnant. Not everybody who gets pregnant identifies as a woman, and people who have the capacity for pregnancy, even sometimes who want to stay pregnant, have a hard time staying pregnant, or people have trouble getting pregnant. And all of those experiences are valid and welcomed here. And I want to be able to have a broad enough definition of what we're working with that it feels like it applies, but also want to acknowledge that there are certain things here that may not apply to everybody. And you will hopefully get enough information to seek out the gaps that are here, and we can help connect you to care that may be more competent, or you can ask me and we can learn together. You can look for folks in your community that are going to be able to best direct you, and I'm going to try to name some of those resources in these modules. So A doula, in definition, is a non-medical support person who advocates, provides care for gestating people or people with the capacity for pregnancy, and anyone who they call family. We know sometimes families aren't biological, sometimes families are chosen, sometimes families are by bond and not by blood. And sometimes people have one partner, sometimes people have multiple partners, sometimes people have no partners, and those families are still families and they're equally valid and welcome here. Family constellations look and feel different to everybody, and so do their outcomes and choices, and we support all of those outcomes and choices. So whether you decide to carry a pregnancy to term, that is your choice. Whether you decide to access an abortion, that is your choice. When you carry a pregnancy to term, if you choose to parent, we're here to support that. If you don't want to parent, we choose to support that. If you want to parent with multiple people or in community and that's available to you, we can support you in doing that. We can also support you in trying to name who those people are that you want in your corner. We want people to feel supported in community because being a parent is really hard. It can be really, really great. It can be beautiful, and it can also be really hard. Parenting is a whole bunch of different things, and we're here to kind of talk about what that looks like and feels like for you, what it feels like in your body, what it feels like in your heart and your head, and work with you on where you would like to get to with that. Being a full spectrum doula specifically means that we work with folks on any end of the spectrum. And sometimes that means through grief and loss. Sometimes grief and loss means through pregnancy loss and miscarriage. That can also mean abortion. Some people feel good about their abortions. Some people carry a lot of grief and a lot of trauma from their abortions. It can mean working with somebody through a stillbirth, when you carry a baby to term, a pregnancy to term, and that baby is not able to survive on their own outside of the uterus, outside of the womb. It can look like grief due to the interactions with the hospital or the child welfare system, which we prefer to call the family surveillance or the family policing state. There's a lot of ways that we can experience grief, and we hope that we can experience grief in community, because carrying grief alone is too much to bear. Everyone has to carry grief in some way or will carry grief in their life. It's a very powerful emotion. It's rooted in love, but it can also be rooted in community, and it can be a shared emotion too. So I want to name those things. I also want to name harm reduction. And a lot of us here may know what harm reduction is, and some of us may not, and that's totally okay. I'm just going to throw out there my working definition of what harm reduction is, and I encourage you to think about what harm reduction means to you too. So harm reduction is the idea that people who use drugs or engage in sex work or any behavior that is stigmatized or judged by the community for whatever reason, whatever social norms have been put in place, they are still worthy of agency, dignity, love, respect, and belonging. And if you are a person who uses drugs, or you are a person that engages in sex work, the most dangerous thing about drug use and sex work is that they are illegal and that they are stigmatized. And so how do we keep you safe? How do you keep me safe? Is that, providing condoms? Is that providing Plan B? Is that safe injection supplies? Is that safe syringe disposal? Is it Narcan? Is it sitting with somebody in their use so that they aren't alone, and if something happens, you're there to respond to it? Is it teaching somebody about their body, or about how drugs will interact in their system or change their consciousness or their somatic, their feeling bodies experience? Harm reduction is making sure that regardless of the choices that people make, they're the safest they possibly can be in making those choices and allowing them to make them without putting them in a space of shame, guilt, or further trauma. So when we think about what a harm reduction doula is, somebody who has the capacity for pregnancy, somebody who is pregnant, somebody who is looking to get pregnant and uses drugs, somebody who is parenting and uses drugs. We're here to provide support. We're here to provide education. We're here to provide advocacy, because we believe that people who use drugs can be fucking amazing parents. Just because somebody uses drugs, a drug test is not a parenting test. So when we combine harm reduction with doula care, we're seeing a whole picture of your identity. We're seeing the ways that, you know, you show up in the world, the experiences and sometimes challenges or setbacks you're having, the relationships that you have, and we're supporting you to be the safest and most well version of yourself. We're supporting this big life change or decision-making process, and we're helping you seek the information, the solutions, the advocacy, the community that works best for you. And you know, sometimes that looks like continuing a relationship with the substance that you are using while you're parenting or while you are pregnant. And we are still here for you. Sometimes that looks like accessing medically assisted treatment. Sometimes that looks like going to an inpatient treatment facility. A lot of times, unfortunately, that means interacting with CPS. And when you're interacting with the family police state, we are here to provide you and talk to you and educate you about the resources that you have at hand. I want to give that caveat because I don't know where some of you are going to be coming in and listening from. So like I said, we are in the unceded Duwamish territory, currently known as Seattle, Washington, but we can also help try to connect you to resources that are in your area, or encourage you and support you in finding the resources that are out there. So as we move forward through this course, I'm going to continue to provide an overview based on the trainings, research, education, and lived experience that I have. We're going to be getting some other speakers in, hopefully, so you guys don't have to just see my face and listen to me talk. And we're going to be offering some in-person workshops and childbirth education classes for anybody who is pregnant, thinks that they might be pregnant, is trying to get pregnant, who is using drugs or has a history of using drugs, who is unhoused or recently sheltered, who is engaging in sex work. And if you're a provider coming in, I hope that you are hearing this information, and this is helping you to better understand and support your clients. So as always, feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about anything in the content of these videos, if you want more specific content in a certain area that hasn't been covered, if you need support or resources, hit me up. I'm going to drop my information in the links, and I look forward to seeing y'all. Thank you for being here.